The twin suns of Ithalar Prime hung low in the golden sky, painting the rocky plains with long shadows that shimmered like glass. The wind hummed softly over crystal ridges that once sang with life. Long ago, this planet had been a paradise of light and sound, a world where every stone had a melody, and every living thing added to the harmony of the planet's great song. But now the melody was fading. Dr. Alara Quinn stood at the edge of a vast canyon, her boots sinking into silver sand. Her breathing echoed inside her helmet as she looked over the landscape. The air shimmered with heat, and strange translucent trees bent as if whispering secrets to one another. Ilara had read about this place since she was a child, but no report could capture its quiet sadness. She was not a soldier or a diplomat. She was a xenobiologist, a scientist who studied the lives of alien worlds. Her job was not to fight or command, it was to understand. And Ithalar Prime needed understanding more than anything else. Behind her, a small ship hummed. It was one of the Terran diplomatic vessels sent to help the Ithalari, a crystalline race that once ruled half the Orion Arm. Now their world was dying, and they were desperate. Ilara tapped her communicator. "Base, this is Quinn. I've landed near the southern resonance fields. The environment is stable, but the readings are strange." The voice of Captain Ortega crackled in her ear. "Define strange, Doctor. The energy patterns, they're emotional." "I know that sounds impossible, but the atmosphere feels sad," the captain chuckled softly. "You always were the poetic one, Quinn. Just make sure you don't get too attached. We're scheduled to pull out in 2 days. Ilara smiled faintly. "Understood. 2 days. She closed the channel and looked toward the horizon. 2 days felt like a cruel limit for a dying world. The Ithalari were not easy to approach. Their bodies were tall and shimmering, made of translucent crystal and flowing light. They did not speak through mouths, but through vibrations that carried directly into the mind. Their voices were like songs, layered and emotional. Ilara had learned to understand some of it, though it always felt like translating a dream. When she entered the grand chamber of resonance, the Council of Elders awaited her. They stood in a circle, glowing softly under the filtered sunlight that came through the ceiling crystals. One of them stepped forward. His glow was faint, his edges cracked and dull. "We greet you, human of warm flesh," his voice echoed in her mind. "Your kind promised help, yet your machines fail. Your drones do not heal the land. Why have you come?" Ilara bowed slightly. "I came because I believe Ithalar is still alive." "Your world is not dead. It's wounded," the council murmured among themselves, their tones deep and uncertain. Another elder spoke, her light blue and dim. "Wounded? We have poured our energy into the ground for centuries. Our song no longer carries. Our harmony is lost." Ilara took a slow breath. "Maybe it's not the energy that's lost. Maybe it's your hope." There was silence in the chamber. The elders did not understand the word immediately. Hope had no direct translation in their language. Finally, the first elder asked, "Hope? You speak of feeling without logic?" "Yes," Ilara said softly. "A feeling that keeps you trying even when logic says it's over." The crystals pulsed faintly. The elder's light brightened for a moment. "Strange. Humans think with hearts, not frequencies, yet your words vibrate differently." Ilara smiled. "That's why I'm here." Over the next 2 days, Ilara studied everything she could. The soil was filled with dormant microbial life, tiny crystalline organisms that once helped regulate the planet's energy field. Now they were inactive, disconnected from the world's resonance. Every test she ran gave the same result. The planet was not dying because of lack of resources. It was dying because its people had lost the song that kept it alive. Her instruments could not fix that. Machines could not sing. That night she walked outside her base without her helmet. The air was thin but breathable enough for a few minutes. The sky shimmered with auroras that danced between the 2 suns. She sat on a rock listening to the faint hum of the world. It was beautiful and lonely. Her communicator beeped. Ortega's voice came through, firm but kind. "Quinn, pack up. The council has given up on the project. We're leaving at dawn." Ilara hesitated. "Captain, I think I can still help them. I just need more time." "Orders are clear, Doctor. We can't risk you staying behind on a collapsing planet. Get ready for departure." The line went silent. Ilara looked around the empty landscape. A soft wind brushed against her face. In the distance, a crystalline figure stood, watching her. It was one of the younger Ithilari, their body glowing faintly blue. "You still watch the stars," the figure said in musical tones. "You wish to go home?" Ilara shook her head slowly. "I wish to stay just a little longer." The Ithilari tilted its head. "Why would a human stay in a world that fades?" "Because fading doesn't mean ending," Ilara said. "It just means something is waiting to be renewed." The alien stepped closer. Its form flickered, and for a moment Ilara saw sadness in the light of its eyes. "We cannot hear the world anymore. The song of Ithilar is broken." "Then let me help you sing it again," she said quietly. The next morning, Ilara stood before the council again. The human team was preparing for departure, but she had made her choice. She placed her hand on the glowing surface of the council table. "Let me stay here," she said firmly. "Give me 1 season, 1 cycle of your sons, and I will find the key to your resonance." The elders flickered in surprise. "You would stay alone? Without your people?" Ilara nodded. "Yes, because I believe I can give humanity something no alien ever could." The eldest crystal leaned closer. "And what is that?" "Connection," she said softly. "The kind that reaches beyond species and language. If we can heal Ithilar together, it will prove that life, any life, can find harmony again." The chamber grew quiet. The elders glowed brighter, their light rippling in slow waves as they communicated silently among themselves. Finally, the elder spoke again. "We will grant your wish, human of warm flesh, you may stay. But know this, no being has ever endured the full resonance cycle. The storms will come. The ground will sing with pain. You may not survive." Ilara smiled gently. "Then I'll learn to sing along." That night, as the Terran ship lifted off, Ilara stood outside the council's tower, watching the engines flare and vanish into the stars. For the first time, she felt truly small and yet completely free. She set up her base near the resonance fields, the heart of the planet's old energy flow. The air shimmered with strange colors. When she touched the ground, she could feel faint vibrations, like a pulse, slow and fading, but still there. Each day she worked side by side with the young Ithilari who had spoken to her before. They tried to recreate the lost harmonies using old crystal instruments that glowed when touched. At first nothing worked. But then one evening Ilara began to hum softly, an old earth lullaby her mother used to sing. The crystals flickered. The air quivered. For a moment, the young Ithilari's body glowed brighter than before. "You changed the frequency," they said, their voice trembling. "Your sound carries warmth. It feels alive." Ilara smiled. "It's not just sound. It's emotion. Maybe your world needs both." Weeks passed. Ilara kept singing, experimenting, recording every vibration. The crystals began to react more often. Small plants with silver leaves started to reappear around the resonance stones. The Ithilari visited her daily now, curious and hopeful. They began calling her the voice between worlds. At night, she wrote in her journal, "Maybe the secret of the universe isn't power or knowledge. Maybe it's empathy, the kind that can make a dying planet listen again." And as the twin suns sank below the horizon, Ilara Quinn looked over the glowing plains and whispered to herself, "Let me stay here, and I'll give humanity what no alien ever could." Days turned into weeks on Ithilar Prime. The twin suns moved slower here, giving long hours of amber light that made the land glow like glass. Dr. Ilara Quinn learned to measure time by color instead of clocks. When the light was golden, the air hummed gently. When it faded to blue, the winds began to sing. She was alone among crystal towers, yet she did not feel lonely anymore. Each morning she stood outside her research dome, listening to the ground. Sometimes she could feel faint vibrations like the heartbeat of a sleeping creature. The young Ithilari, her friend Saren, often joined her. His body shimmered with soft light, and when he moved, it sounded like wind through chimes. "You listen like one of us now," Saren said one morning. Ilara smiled. Maybe the world is finally speaking back. Her small camp had grown into a living laboratory. Instead of machines, she used simple resonance tools built from native crystals. The Terran devices had failed. The planet rejected foreign metals. So Ilara built her instruments by hand, shaping shards that responded to touch and tone. When she sang near them, they glowed faintly. When she laughed, they brightened. At first, her work was methodical. Record frequencies, map energy fields, test reactions. But over time she realized that science alone could not reach the core of this world. Ithalar did not respond to numbers. It responded to emotion. When the Ithalari spoke to her, they did not ask for data. They asked for feeling. So she began to learn their way. Each night, Saren taught her fragments of old harmonies, simple tones that once united their people. The sounds were strange to her ears, layered notes, sometimes dissonant yet filled with meaning. Ilara tried to copy them with her human voice, rough and imperfect. The first time she succeeded, Saren's body flared with sudden light. "You carry warmth," he said, almost in awe. "Your sound is soft but strong." "The world listens to softness." Ilara laughed, shy but proud. "Humans are good at soft things. We break, we cry, we still keep trying." Saren tilted his head, processing the words. "Breaking and trying again. That is hope, yes?" "Yes," she whispered. "That's hope." The next cycle brought strange changes. The ground near her camp began to shimmer faintly at night. Small silver plants pushed through the sand. They looked fragile, but when she touched them, they pulsed gently beneath her fingers. Life was returning, just a little. Word spread among the Ithalari. Soon elders visited her camp, their crystalline forms glowing with curiosity. They watched as Ilara sang beside Saren, their voices weaving together in a human-alien duet. The elders could not hide their surprise when the resonance field around them flickered alive for the first time in centuries. One elder's voice rang clear in her mind. "Your sound binds what ours cannot. You are not of crystal, yet your song carries the memory of light." Ilara felt a rush of joy. "Maybe because I sing from something you cannot see, a heart." The elder pulsed softly, unsure. "A heart. That is your world's core?" "Yes," Ilara said, touching her chest. "It beats for others." As days passed, the bond between Ilara and the planet deepened. She began to feel the vibrations even in her sleep. Sometimes when she dreamed, she saw flashes of the world's past. Oceans that glittered like liquid glass, forests of singing trees, and a sky filled with shimmering wings. She would wake with tears in her eyes, whispering, "I can feel it still." But the planet's storms were growing. Great waves of magnetic wind rolled across the land, turning the air into silver mist. The Ithalari warned her to take shelter, yet Ilara insisted on continuing her work. She believed the storms were not punishment but communication. The world was trying to speak again. During one storm, Saren stood outside her dome, his form flickering. "You must rest, Ilara. The field is unstable." Ilara's hair whipped around her face as she adjusted the resonance crystals. "If I stop now, the signal will fade. I can hear it calling." "The planet calls for pain," Saren said. "It breaks itself apart. Then I'll teach it how to heal." Her voice rose above the storm, trembling but steady. As she sang, the crystals surrounding her began to vibrate together, forming a slow, deep tone. The wind eased. The silver mist turned blue, calm and cool. When the storm finally passed, Saren stood speechless. The air around them felt alive, renewed. He touched the ground. "You calmed Ithalar." "No elder ever did this." Ilara smiled wearily. "I didn't calm it. I just listened." After that night, everything changed. The Ithalari began to rebuild their ancient resonance chamber, this time with Ilara's guidance. She helped them tune each crystal to specific frequencies of emotion: peace, courage, hope. The chamber became a symphony of light and sound echoing across the plains. When the final structure stood complete, the council gathered once more. The eldest among them spoke. "We remember when our world sang as one, but we lost the key. Perhaps you, human of warm flesh, are that key?" Ilara shook her head gently. "I'm not the key. I'm just the bridge." Still, she knew the truth. The next step would demand more than singing. To awaken the planet completely, someone had to merge with the resonance field, to connect both body and mind to Ithalar's living core. It was dangerous, perhaps impossible. The energy could destroy any single being, but deep down Ilara felt a strange certainty. "Maybe this is why I came here." One evening, Saren found her watching the sunset. The sky burned with copper light, and the air was filled with the low hum of distant energy flows. He sat beside her, his form dimmer than usual. "The council fears you will vanish when you sing again. They say your mind will scatter." Ilara nodded. "Maybe, but if I can bring the song back, it will be worth it." Saren looked at her silently, his glow flickering like a candle. "You humans chase meaning the way we chase harmony. You risk everything for it. That's who we are, she said softly. We don't live forever like you, so we make our short lives matter. He hesitated, then asked, If you succeed, what will happen to you? Ilara looked at the horizon, where the suns touched the edge of the world. Maybe I'll stay. Not in body, but in the song. Saren's light trembled. Then your name will live in our voices. The next days were filled with preparation. Ilara built a new device, a resonance amplifier made entirely of native crystal and her own neural interface. It would allow her to link directly with the planet's core frequencies. Saren and the elders helped her arrange the crystals into a vast circular pattern across the plane, each one tuned to a different emotional tone. When the work was finished, she stood in the center and looked up. The twin suns were setting again, bathing everything in red and gold. The air was quiet, waiting. This is it, she whispered. Saren stepped forward. When you begin, the storm will come again. The resonance may pull you apart. Ilara smiled, calm and sure. Then I'll hold together long enough to finish the song. That night the storm returned, stronger than ever. The sky boiled with light and thunder rolled like drums. Ilara stood in the middle of the circle, the resonance crystals glowing around her. She closed her eyes and began to sing. Her voice rose, fragile at first, then stronger. She sang in both human and Ithilari tones, weaving them together into one melody. The ground trembled. The crystals responded, their hums joining hers until the entire plane sang as one living choir. Saren watched in awe. The sound was not just heard, it was felt. It moved through the air, through the stones, through him. For a moment he felt the heartbeat of the planet, slow, ancient, waking from a long sleep. Ilara's body shone with blue light. Her song filled the storm, pushing it back. When she opened her eyes, the skies had cleared. The air shimmered with calm. She fell to her knees, exhausted but smiling. Saren rushed forward. You did it. The world listens again. Ilara looked around at the glowing plains. It's not done yet. It's listening, but it still needs to learn how to sing. She touched the ground, feeling its faint hum. Tomorrow we teach it together. That night, Saren watched as she slept beside the humming crystals. The wind carried her soft human breathing through the air like another note in the song of Ithilar. And somewhere beneath the surface, the planet answered, its voice growing stronger, warmer, more alive. Morning came soft and golden. The twin suns rose over the plains of Ithilar Prime, turning the silver sands into rivers of light. The air was calm for the first time in months. The usual hum of the dying world was replaced by something new, gentle, steady, alive. Dr. Ilara Quinn stood at the center of the resonance circle she and Saren had built. Her eyes were tired, but her heart was bright. The storm had passed, and yet its memory lingered in the glow of the crystals around her. She could feel the pulse of the planet now, like a second heartbeat inside her chest. Saren approached carefully. His light shimmered blue and green, the colors of renewal. The council speaks of you, he said softly. They call you the bridge singer. Ilara smiled faintly. That's a kind title. But I'm still just Ilara. You changed our sky, Saren said. You brought calm where storms lived for centuries. The world listens to you. She looked around at the humming crystals. It's not listening to me. It's listening to us, all of us together. Over the next few days, more Ithilari arrived from distant cities. They came to see the plains where the resonance had returned. The air glowed faintly wherever they walked. The land seemed to welcome them as if recognizing old friends. Ilara taught them how to use her method, how to blend emotion with sound. At first they struggled. Their tones were pure but empty, too logical. They were used to singing with perfect precision, not feeling, so Ilara sang with them, her human voice rough but warm, guiding them toward imperfection. Don't sing to control the sound, she told them. Sing to share it. When she sang, the Ithilari followed her lead. Slowly the harmonies grew richer, fuller, more alive. It was no longer one voice or one species, it was both. Human softness meeting crystalline clarity. After every session, Ilara wrote in her journal, The planet reacts to emotion. The stronger the connection between us, the brighter the energy field becomes. I think Ithilar's heart is waking up. One evening, as the sun sank below the horizon, Ilara noticed something unusual. The resonance crystals in the plains began to glow even without sound. They pulsed rhythmically like a planet-sized heartbeat. She placed her hand on the ground and felt the vibration running deep below the surface. It's calling us, she whispered. Saren's glow brightened. The core stirs. The elders say it has not moved for 1,000 years. Ilara looked toward the horizon where the plain seemed to ripple with faint light. Then we're close. The planet is almost ready. Ready for what? Saren asked quietly. Ilara hesitated. For the final harmony. The moment when Ithalar sings again. Saren's light dimmed slightly. And what of you? What happens to your body when the core opens? She didn't answer. She only looked at the stars. That night, the Council of Elders summoned her. Inside the chamber of resonance, the air was filled with low musical tones as if the world itself was whispering through the walls. The eldest spoke, his light slow and steady. Human of warm flesh, the core awakens. We fear its call will consume you. Ilara bowed her head. If that's what it takes, I accept. The elders pulsed in shock. Why, you could return to your people. Your task is already complete. Ilara's voice was calm, but her eyes shone with emotion. No. Humanity has learned from me as much as I have from you. We came here to help, not to take. If I leave now, the connection will fade. Someone has to stay, someone to hold both sides together. You would become one with the song? One elder asked. Ilara nodded. If that's what the world needs. The chamber filled with soft light. No words followed for a long time. Then the eldest said, so be it. You will be remembered as the first human to hear the true voice of Ithalar. The next morning, the sky was filled with silver clouds that shone like silk. It was the day of the final resonance. Ilara stood once more in the circle of crystals, this time surrounded by thousands of Ithalari. The air hummed gently, alive with expectation. The elders stood nearby, their forms glowing brighter than ever. Saren approached and placed a small shard of crystal into her palm. This is part of my core, he said softly. If you go where I cannot follow, let it remind you that you are not alone. Ilara held the shard close. Thank you, Saren. He looked at her with light trembling like tears. You taught us that harmony needs heart. I will carry that lesson forever. As the suns reached their highest point, the Ithalari began to sing. Their voices blended into a deep, echoing tone that rolled across the land like a wave. The air shimmered and the ground pulsed beneath their feet. Ilara stepped into the center of the circle and activated the resonance array. The crystals around her flared to life, their colors shifting through every hue of light. The sound grew louder, filling the sky. She closed her eyes and joined in. Her voice rose, soft, human, imperfect, but full of life. The Ithalari harmonized with her, their tones weaving around hers like threads of glass and fire. Together, they created a sound unlike anything heard before. The sky turned bright white. The ground shook. A beam of light erupted from the center of the circle, rising into the heavens. Ilara felt the energy surge through her body. Her vision blurred, and suddenly she could see not just the surface, but deep beneath it. The vast crystal heart of Ithalar itself, glowing faintly in darkness. It was waiting. It was lonely. She reached out with her mind, with her voice, with every emotion she had ever felt. Love, fear, wonder, sorrow, hope. The core responded, its light growing stronger, brighter, warmer. It began to hum, slowly at first, then faster, until the entire planet sang. Ilara felt her body fading, but her consciousness expanding. She was no longer just herself, she was part of everything. Every crystal, every sound, every heartbeat. She heard Saren's voice, the elders, the winds, the ocean far away. She felt the joy of a world reborn. She whispered one last thought, soft and full of peace. Let me stay here, and I'll give humanity what no alien ever could. And then her voice became part of the song. Silence followed for a long time. When the light faded, the Ithalari stood in awe. The storm clouds had vanished completely. The land sparkled with new life. The once silent crystals now glowed with steady rhythm, singing quietly to one another. Saren stepped into the center of the circle where Ilara had stood. Her body was gone. Only the small shard of crystal she had held remained, glowing softly in the sand. He touched it gently. She is not gone, he said. She sings with the world. The elders gathered around him. The song will never fade again, they said. It carries her voice, years past. Ithalar Prime flourished once more. Forests of luminous trees returned. Rivers of light flowed through the canyons. The Ithalari learned to live in harmony again, guided by the lessons of the human who stayed. Travelers from distant worlds began to visit. They found a world alive with song, its air filled with calm energy that healed even the most weary souls. When they touched the ground, they sometimes heard a faint human voice, gentle and kind, whispering through the wind. Humanity was never defined by power. It was defined by the courage to stay when others would leave. The Ithilari built a monument in the center of the resonance plains, a tall spire of silver crystal. At its base were words written in both human and Ithilari script. Dr. Alara Quinn, the voice between worlds. Centuries later, a Terran research ship arrived in orbit. They detected strong energy signatures and a thriving ecosystem where once there had been only dust. When they landed, they found the monument shining under the twin suns. The leader of the mission, a young scientist, read the inscription aloud. "Dr. Alara Quinn," she murmured. "I've read her reports. She was declared missing over 200 years ago." An Ithilari elder approached, his body glowing with calm light. "She is not missing," he said. "She lives in our song." The human smiled sadly. Then humanity truly did give something no alien ever could. As they stood there, the air around them began to hum softly. The ground vibrated with a gentle rhythm like a heartbeat. The human scientists listened, eyes wide. One of them whispered, "Is that her voice?" The elder nodded. "Yes. She still sings to remind us that life, no matter its form, can always find harmony." The humans closed their eyes, listening to the song that spanned centuries and species. And in that moment they felt it too, the same warmth, the same hope that had once made one human choose to stay. Far above, the suns set together, painting the sky in gold and violet. The light touched the monument, making it shimmer like a living star, and somewhere in the wind a voice whispered once more, "I'm still here."